and welcome back. Today's video, I have the brand new Kylie Cosmetics setting powder, but I didn't want to do just any old setting powder review. I wanted to test it, and I mean really test it. I wanted to put it up against the Colourpop No Filter setting powder. Now, I chose this one because everyone always tends to compare Kylie Cosmetics to Colourpop since they do have the same lab. I still believe they do. I haven't actually checked on that in a while, but that's the reasoning behind choosing the Colourpop powder to compare it to. Also, the Colourpop powder I've had for a few months now. Use it all the time. I love this powder. I'm shaking it so much my cap is gonna be overflowed. Shoot, I'm gonna open it up and it's gonna go everywhere. So let's get into the new Kylie powder first. So here is the new Kylie Cosmetics Loose Setting Powder. This baby retails for $24. I picked up the shade Translucent. There was 6 shades that she launched. Let me just double check here. Translucent, Soft Pink, Beige, Yellow, Dark, Deep Dark, and I think that was it. So good little range. Colourpop only has 3. They have Translucent, Banana, and Translucent Deep. So there's more variety within the Kylie's range. There is one thing though that really stood out to me. I didn't realize until after I had already bought it. So the Kylie powder is $24 and you only receive 0.35 of an ounce or 10 grams. And the Colourpop is $10. You get 8.5 grams or 0.300 of an ounce. Oh wait, no, the Colourpop powder is $9. It's actually on sale right now on their website for $7.20, so even better, but we'll use their original price of $9. So if you wanted to know the value of buying a Kylie powder at a full ounce, it would be $68.57. That is even more than a full ounce of Laura Mercier powder. Their powder is $39 for a full ounce. So that is quite pricey. And if you compare the Colourpop, let me do some quick calculations, it would retail for $30. So it's like half the cost, even less than half, like maybe a third. Something to take into consideration. You always want to look at how much product you're actually getting and take it into consideration. So just wanted to mention that for you guys. We are, of course, gonna apply the powder still, see how it performs and all of that. We are gonna do a full-on comparison between the two. I plan on putting on my favorite foundation, favorite concealer that I know how they wear, do a wear test for the day, check back in, see how the powders are both holding up. I'm gonna be using the Colourpop on the left side of my face, so the right side for you guys, and the Kylie on my right side, which is your left side. So think of it like this. That way we keep track of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start applying my favorite foundation here. I'm gonna be taking the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation with just a pump of LA Girl White Mixing Pigment. Since the shade I have is just a little bit too deep for me, but this is by far my favorite foundation at the moment. It is so good, and I know exactly how this is gonna wear for me today. And that's what I want. I don't want any surprises. I want something that I can depend on, so we get a really true test of the powder. So I'm just gonna bounce in this L'Oreal foundation with my Wet n Wild sponge. And I'm just kind of bringing it all the way down. I have this cute little top that's off the shoulders today, and I want to make sure I bring it all the way down. It is the most beautiful day today that I think it's been in probably a month. We've had such gloomy weather with rain on and off. It's been freezing, and all of a sudden today it was just like boom, summertime, sun's out, it's hot, you just want to go basically to the pool today. That's all I've been thinking is, oh my god, I want to go to the pool or I want to go to the beach. It is amazing. Which I'm really curious for you guys, is it also starting to look more like summer now, or do you guys still have really gloomy weather, because this season has been insane with the weather. Everyone has been getting such a weird mix. I live in the desert and things are actually blooming. We have flowers popping up randomly because it's been so much rain coming down, which I absolutely love. Ooh, the perfect base. Can always depend on this foundation. Now, let's take a little bit of concealer here. This is gonna be an interesting mix, but the Tarte Shape Tape is a little bit too light when I use this foundation because this one is pretty dark. I didn't even mention, but I have 455 Natural Buff, which is just way too tan for me. It's like 5 shades too tan, so that's what I use the mixing pigment. So then this concealer, the Tarte Shape Tape, is just a little bit too light on its own. So what I'll do is just take a little bit of the Shape Tape, boop, boop, boop. And then I take a little bit of my Milani Conceal and Perfect Concealer in 110 Nude Ivory, because this one's a little bit darker. And I'll just kind of put a little bit on top. There we go. And then when you blend it together, it creates a really good color. I'm gonna use the same wet n wild sponge, just blend that out, which, by the way, you guys, I apply my powders using sponges. I just feel like you get the best coverage and it just seems like it melts together. So I do have 2 little mini egg blenders here that are gonna be the powder sponges. I'm gonna have 1 for each. Both have been cleaned. One's been used several times, so it's kind of stained. One's brand new. Nothing I can really do about the staining. These are very white in shade. But I have 2 separate sponges, so that way I don't mix the powders, because that's one of the main things you want to avoid when testing out new powders. You don't want it to accidentally go in with the other powder. So I got 2 sponges that we're gonna be working with today. All right, now I think we're ready for some powders. Let me bring you even closer so you can see this with me. Like I said, one is semi-stained, one is pretty fresh looking. So the fresh looking sponge is gonna go for the Kylie, the semi-stained is gonna go for the Colourpop. So let's begin with Kylie's powder. Gonna tap a little bit out onto her lid here, and I'm just picking up a little bit with my little baby sponge right here from the cap, and I'm gonna start pressing that in under the eyes, which with powder, I'm not really a baker. I will really just kind of take the powder and press in what I need. I don't like to put a large amount and then whisk it away. That's just not really my style for using powder. So I just take a little bit on the sponge and just press that in, and that's basically it. Just so you guys know my technique, but that looks really good. It looks really smoothing under the eyes. Putting a little bit of powder right here on the chin. I'm going just down the center, just halfway here. I'm gonna be doing that kind of all over the face. Just on this half is gonna be the Kylie. I'm gonna set some here in the smile lines, a little bit here up on the sides of the nose, and a little bit up here on the forehead. I'm thinking to test out the kind of like baking of this, I'm gonna do the full bronzer once all the powder is applied, and then put a little bit of powder just heavily on the side here to kind of cut the bronzer and just see how that looks, because I am just very curious about that. So I'll do that in a little bit. But so far that powder does look really good. It melted right in with the foundation. Looks really seamless. There is one thing I need to fix. Hold on. So sorry, you're staring at these foundation lips. They're awful. There we go, fixed. Okay, so that is the Kylie powder. Now let's move on to the Colourpop, and I was waving and shaking this thing so it's full up here in the little sifter. Gonna take my other beauty sponge, the one that looks a little more stained. Whoop, hold on. Do I got any creases that I gotta buff out? Just gonna really quickly go over it. Make sure I'm not setting any creases. And now to go in with the Colourpop powder. Whoa, that's a lot more. I coated up the sponges the same exact way. I got a lot on the sponge, and it seems like I got a lot more from the Colourpop. Holy moly. Just melting and pressing that powder into the skin. Oh yeah. So Colourpop powder is all worked in on this side. I think I need to go in with another layer for the Kylie, because I feel like I got a lot more brightening effect with the Colourpop compared to the Kylie. So let me just finish putting up a little bit more powder on the rest of the half of the face up here in the forehead. I have to lock everything down into place because I do have a very oily skin type, so these are the precautions I have to take. I have to set 3/4 of the face. So there's all that powder worked in, and I'm not crazy, right? You guys see that there's like a little bit of a brightening action right about here. So same case, it's fully loaded here in the cap. I'm gonna press in the sponge, go in with some more. There we go, we're getting more coverage here. Press that in. I feel like that helped to build it up a little bit more. Maybe I just got a little bit more of the Colourpop initially. I will be back to a little bit more powder in just a second. I'm gonna go in with some bronzer now around the perimeter, since I do want to kind of cut the bronzer, I guess you could say, with a little bit of powder. See if we'll clean it up and how that leaves it looking. I don't do that ever, but I'm just very curious about these new powders. Which, by the way, I'm taking the usual Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. This is one of my favorites. I use it almost every single day. I guarantee it. I trust it. It's the bronzer I love. And since this bronzer is for, I believe it's medium to deep skin tones, I just like to take a really fluffy brush along the outskirts of the face, bronze up kind of lightly, and then I will take my Wet n Wild fluffy little brush, no clue what this is actually called, and take a little bit more of a concentrated amount right here back towards the ear to do like a little bronzing, if you will. Feel like it gives a little bit better effect if you do it with the same shade of the bronzer, so that way you don't have two different colors mixed. You're just using a little bit more of a concentrated amount from the same product. Now that that bronzing is kind of on, I'm gonna grab my sponges and my powders again. We're going in with a Kylie here. Gonna apply a little bit just like that. And I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm not gonna drag it in too far. I'm just doing a little bit edge sculpting out there. So there she is. And I'll do the same on the other side with the Colourpop. So I'm gonna leave that on for a second. I'm gonna go in with some blush in the meantime. I'm gonna take my L'Oreal Paradise Enchanted blush in Bashful. Pop a little bit here on the apples. And then let's go in with another favorite product here, the Wet n Wild highlighter in Blossom Glow. Gonna highlight the face a little bit. Guys are getting to see a lot of my favorites here in this video. I love it. And I just apply a little bit here on the Cupid's bow too. A little bit down the nose. Now let's take a little fluffy powder brush. Just kind of whisk it away. Hold on, let me get another fluffy brush to whisk away the other powder. I'm like a chef in the kitchen with my baking here. You can't contaminate the powders. Gotta keep them separate. So, Colourpop side, Kylie side. Like I said, I don't do that often, but I mean, it looks like it kind of cut it out a little bit on both sides. I don't think either one left any kind of white cast. It helped to clean it up, but didn't leave that ghostly curved out look that looks a little bit harsh, is what I'm trying to say. And the only real step left is to take a little bit of spray, taking the Rimmel Stay Matte Fix and Go spray. Just gonna put this all over. I'm actually really loving the way that my makeup is set. Both sides look really good, really smooth. I mean, it looks like it's a good makeup day all around. I like it. The only thing that is left to test before we go into the wear test is a flashback test. So I am gonna step off camera real quick so I go into a little bit of a darker space instead of having these beauty lights. I'll be right back and show you guys the picture. I'm gonna throw that up on the screen right here. I have to say, both powders look really good. I'm zooming in on it to see if we can didn't really notice any kind of difference, but honestly, both sides look really good. It's a great start to this little powder showdown. Now all we have to do is wear the powders and see how they hold up, because that's the true test. Everything can look good going on at first, and then sometimes things can just fall apart. So let's go ahead and just start wearing this powder. It is now 2:42 p.m. Wow, is it really that late? I got started filming really late today. So I'm gonna try to keep this on for as long as I can. If something changes throughout the day and I feel like I need to fill you guys in on it, I will do a halfway check-in, but if not, I'll just check in with you guys at the end of the night. So I'll see you guys in just a couple seconds and let you know how long it's been. It's that time, you guys, for the final check-in. It is now 9:02 p.m. so it's been a little bit over 6 hours now, and I'm definitely ready to tell you guys my final thoughts on both of these powders. Let me bring you closer so that way you can see everything that is going on. So just so you guys know, Colourpop is on this side, Kylie is on this side. So here's how the powders are looking, and honestly, both sides look amazing. I've been looking into the mirror constantly throughout the day. Nothing has creased, nothing has caked up. Everything on both sides just look really good. You honestly can't even tell that I have two different powders on. I mean, it's so similar that I would honestly say we may have a dupe on our hands because they are wearing almost the same. So my final thoughts on the Kylie Cosmetics setting powder is that it is a really good powder, but so is the Colourpop powder. And I have to say, if I were to choose between these two, seeing now how similarly they wear, I would go for the Colourpop, because I would spend maybe a third of the cost in the long run with the Colourpop than with the Kylie. I mean, no one's really gonna look at your face and say, what powder are you wearing? If it's Kylie, it's nothing. Like, no. Setting powder is just that. It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, so that's just my 2 cents, since both of them wear beautifully. I mean, if you really want to go with the Kylie powder, you know, go for it. It is a really good powder, and I don't think you'll be disappointed, but that's just my 2 cents between these two powders. This was such a fun video to do for you guys. I'm happy I decided to switch it up and do a little bit of a comparison video. That way I could show you how this powder performs up against a winning powder, and yeah, the outcome was definitely interesting. So that is gonna conclude today's comparison video. I really hope that you guys enjoy this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell button, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!